Shocking developments are unfolding in Cincinnati. Ticket prices have surged after Alex Eala mania took over the tournament, yet the stadium is still completely sold out. The $260 million Linda Family Tennis Center has never experienced anything quite like this. A 21-year-old from the Philippines hasn't even played her first match, but organizers are already witnessing extraordinary demand and record-breaking revenue. Nobody expected the Alex Eala effect to reach this level. Tickets that started at around $275 climbed to as much as $470, representing an increase of roughly 70%, and fans continued snapping up seats. The Eala effect is no longer simply about filling stadiums. It is beginning to reshape the business side of tennis. The moment Alex Eala's name appeared on the Cincinnati Open entry list, something unusual happened. Tournament officials reportedly watched as the ticketing system was overwhelmed before 6 a.m., forcing organizers to scramble for solutions before 9 a.m. as an unexpected wave of demand poured in. But the biggest surprise came afterward. As interest continued to explode, Cincinnati organizers raised ticket prices significantly, and instead of slowing demand, the stadium remained completely sold out. A package that had initially been available for around $275 was now listed at approximately $470, yet fans were still buying. That kind of demand is extraordinary, especially for a player who had not even stepped onto the Cincinnati court. The $260 million Linda Family Tennis Center has welcomed some of the biggest names in tennis, including Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams. Tournament director Bob Moran has seen major crowds and sold-out sessions before, but the reaction surrounding Alex Eala was on another level. The 21-year-old Filipina had not played a single point in the tournament, yet her presence alone was generating an enormous wave of attention, from $275 to $470, with demand still strong. The numbers tell a remarkable story. Alex Eala is proving that her influence extends far beyond what happens between the lines. For Cincinnati, this isn't simply another tournament week. It is a clear sign that Eala's growing popularity, particularly among Filipino fans, is becoming a powerful force in the modern tennis economy. That a first-round seat that had once started at just $50 was no longer the benchmark. The Eala effect was rewriting the economics of tennis right in front of everyone's eyes. The demand for tickets was unlike anything Cincinnati organizers had experienced before, forcing them to make extraordinary pricing decisions. Yet even as prices climbed, fans continued to show up in massive numbers. "It's an amazing experience," Eala said when asked about the overwhelming support. "It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis. Hopefully, it will help grow the sport as well and, in the end, give them something new and joyful." That sellout wasn't simply about ticket demand. It represented a community deciding to show up in force. Filipino fans had transformed the tournament atmosphere, while organizers were witnessing a level of enthusiasm they had never seen before. And the numbers behind that demand make the situation even more remarkable. Let's look at why Cincinnati organizers were willing to raise ticket prices by roughly 70% and still watch the stadium sell out. A package that had originally started around $275 was now listed at approximately $470, yet fans kept buying. That is the real story behind the Eala effect. Higher prices did not appear to extinguish the demand. To understand why this is so significant, you have to look at what the Cincinnati Open was expecting before Alex Eala entered the picture. Tournament director Bob Moran previously told the Sports Business Journal that after major renovations to the Linda Family Tennis Center in 2025, the tournament established a new attendance record of more than 285,000 fans. Looking ahead to 2026, Moran was optimistic that the event could easily surpass 300,000 attendees. Local Cincinnati reporting also indicated that organizers were expecting attendance around that 300,000 mark. Those projections, however, were made before the full force of Alex Eala's popularity became apparent. Once her name appeared on the entry list, the attention surrounding the tournament changed dramatically. The ticketing system was reportedly overwhelmed before 6 a.m., leaving organizers scrambling to respond to the sudden surge in demand. And this wasn't simply a tennis story. It became a story about community, identity, and representation. Filipino fans were turning another tennis tournament into a celebration, creating an atmosphere that stretched far beyond the court. The economic impact of that enthusiasm was becoming impossible to ignore. The numbers behind the Eala effect tell a remarkable story of growing demand. And Cincinnati wasn't the first place to experience it. In Washington, the same phenomenon had already begun to show just how powerful Alex Eala's connection with Filipino fans could become. Tournament officials revealed that ticket demand jumped by around 80% after Eala's matches were announced. In Toronto, organizers were even forced to move her to center court because the 2,800-seat grandstand simply wasn't large enough to accommodate the number of fans wanting to see her play. The demand surrounding Eala had become so strong that she was reportedly capable of generating thousands of ticket sales almost by herself. During the 2026 National Bank Open, the sessions featuring her became some of the most heavily demanded nights of the tournament. Now Cincinnati was witnessing a remarkably similar phenomenon. And the financial implications were enormous. Eala was set to earn around $26,255, roughly 1.6 million Cuban pesos, simply by entering the tournament. Advancing to the round of 32 would push her prize money to approximately $47,375, or around 2.9 million Cuban pesos. But while Eala stood to benefit financially from her performance, the tournament itself had the potential to generate far more through ticket sales, sponsorship exposure, merchandise, and increased global attention. What made the situation even more fascinating was the demographic driving this extraordinary demand. The global Filipino diaspora numbers in the millions, and Eala had emerged as a player capable of giving that community a new sporting hero. For many Filipinos living overseas and working far from home, watching Eala compete was about much more than simply seeing a tennis match. It was a chance to celebrate someone representing their country on one of the biggest stages in international sport. That passion was becoming impossible to miss inside the stadiums. Traditional tennis etiquette was sometimes being replaced by the energy of a basketball crowd. Fans were shouting, waving Philippine flags, holding signs, and celebrating every important point with incredible emotion. Philippine tennis officials previously described similar scenes at the Australian Open, where some fans attending Eala's matches had reportedly never watched a tennis match before, and that is what makes Eala's rise so fascinating. She isn't simply attracting existing tennis fans. She is bringing new people into the sport. Entire families and communities are discovering tennis because they want to support a young Filipina athlete making history. The excitement is understandable. For Filipino fans, Eala represents something they haven't often had in global tennis. A player they can call their own, someone competing at the highest level while carrying the hopes of an entire community. The tickets aren't cheap, either. Many Filipino migrants are making significant sacrifices to afford the experience. But for them, the price isn't simply the cost of watching a tennis match. It is the price of being there, in the stands, waving the Philippine flag and cheering for a player who represents home. That is the real economics of Eala mania. The story isn't just about a $275 ticket becoming a $470 ticket. It is about a young athlete creating demand that reaches far beyond the traditional tennis audience. And as Cincinnati continues to feel the impact, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: Alex Eala isn't just changing how fans watch tennis. She may be changing the business model surrounding it. Cincinnati organizers were learning a lesson they never expected. Sometimes the most powerful force in sports isn't the court, the prize money, or the ranking points. It's the people who show up. And when they show up with this kind of passion, they're willing to pay almost anything to be there. The reported 70% ticket price increase wasn't simply a case of supply meeting demand. It reflected the growing realization that Alex Eala had become something incredibly rare, a player whose box office appeal didn't depend on winning the tournament. She had become an attraction all by herself, capable of selling out stadiums regardless of the opponent, the match time, or the stakes. And even after prices climbed, the stadium was still packed. But the economics of Eala mania tell only half the story. The other half belongs to the fans behind those numbers. The people willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a single ticket and travel incredible distances just to watch their hero compete. Sports reporter Colin Salao, who covered the Cincinnati Open, shared two stories that perfectly captured that devotion. The first involved a group of college friends living in different parts of the United States who planned their entire reunion around one goal: meeting in Cincinnati to watch Alex Eala play. Their schedules, flights, and travel plans all revolved around one match. The second story was even more remarkable. One fan had already watched Eala compete in Toronto at the National Bank Open, then got behind the wheel and drove 8 hours to Cincinnati just to see her again. Not a quick flight, an 8-hour road trip, because, for that fan, every mile was worth it. Eala herself understands the sacrifices many supporters are making. The tickets for these tournaments are not cheap, she said. Filipino migrants are giving up a lot to afford these tickets. They think nothing of what they had to give up for the chance to cheer the Filipina athlete. Those sacrifices become even more striking when you look at the prices. Packages that had started around $275 were now being listed at roughly $470, while second-round resale tickets ranged from about $86 to as high as $685. Even upper-level seats were climbing into triple-digit prices for the most sought-after sessions, and grandstand tickets that typically started around $128 were also seeing intense demand. Yet fans kept buying, proving that this wasn't simply about attending a tennis tournament, it was about supporting someone who had become a symbol of pride for millions of Filipinos around the world. When asked about the incredible support during the Cincinnati Open, Eala responded with genuine gratitude, calling it an amazing experience and saying it was inspiring to see the Filipino community come together through tennis, hoping that this growing movement would introduce even more people to the sport she loves. It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis, Eala said. Hopefully, it will help grow the sport as well and, in the end, give them a new and joyful experience. Then, speaking directly to her fellow Filipinos, she addressed the crowd in Tagalog, further highlighting the deep emotional connection she shares with her supporters. Her words weren't just a message of gratitude. They reflected something much bigger, a relationship between an athlete and a global community that sees itself represented every time she steps onto the court. The Filipino diaspora, numbering millions around the world, has found a new sporting hero in Alex Eala. Many Filipinos who have moved overseas in search of better opportunities are now spending hundreds of dollars for center court seats just to watch her compete. According to Filter Executive Director Tanet Mendoza, some fans who attended Eala's Australian Open matches had never even watched a tennis match before. That detail says everything about the scale of what is happening. Eala isn't simply attracting existing tennis fans. She's introducing completely new audiences to the sport. The excitement is understandable. For many Filipino supporters, Eala represents a historic breakthrough. She's one of the first Filipina players to reach this level of international tennis, giving an entire community someone to celebrate on the world's biggest stages, and even the biggest names in women's tennis have taken notice. Coco Gauff, the world number 4 and reigning US Open champion, has welcomed the impact Eala is having on the WTA Tour. "I like that Alex brings a whole new demographic to the WTA Tour," Gauff said in an interview. That new demographic is the global Filipino community, a group willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a ticket, drive 8 hours to another city, and organize entire reunions around the opportunity to watch Eala compete, because for these fans, supporting Alex Eala isn't simply about watching tennis. It's about celebrating identity, community, pride, and representation. When Eala plays, Filipino communities around the world come together. As one columnist described it, the Eala effect creates a kind of virtual homeland wherever Filipinos gather to watch her compete. We've seen it in Miami, New York, Melbourne, Dubai, London, Toronto, Washington, and now Cincinnati. Overseas Filipinos arrive carrying flags, holding signs, chanting her name, bringing their families, and capturing every moment on their phones. These aren't casual spectators who happen to be in the area. They are part of a growing movement, and that movement is now having a measurable impact on the economics of tennis. The ticket prices, sold-out sessions, international attention, and growing audiences all tell part of the story. But behind every number is a fan who made a sacrifice to be there. The numbers are staggering. The stories are remarkable. But none of this would have been possible without the stage that Ben Navarro and the Cincinnati Open have built. Now, Alex Eala's fans are showing the tennis world exactly how powerful a community can become when it finds an athlete it truly believes in.